Hi, I'm Bob Reed. Welcome to the Art of Living Gallery, where we explore the life-changing and often healing effects of making art. Today on the Art of Living Gallery, we'll piece together the story of how photo montages of the World Trade Center allowed this artist to grieve the collective loss.
I walked to Fifth Avenue and I could see the smoke and I felt so helpless. I wanted to volunteer. I went down there. I had a lot of mixed emotions. I was angry that it happened, that we let it happen. I was sad that so many people lost their lives. I was afraid of what was going to happen next.
Then, music was a steadfast antidote to this musician's turbulent and torn childhood.
When I was 2 years old, my mother left my father and took me and my brother, my half-brother, to a foster home across state lines and never came back. I think I cried so hard that I couldn't breathe. I thought I was gonna die. I mean, it's very, very painful. The emotion of the lyric and the way the melody moved would actually free up the expression that was wanting to be had in me, like a form of therapy.
Finally, how does drama therapy empower children in Harlem?
Creative Alternatives has an expertise where their resident artists can come in and work with any type of young person. It is a place of challenge, but there is also some beauty to it as well.
Everybody has something to say, everybody gets heard. Like, if you feel that you're not getting heard, like, Creative Alternatives is a good way to get heard.
3 remarkable stories about the healing power of art in New York City. Today on the Art of Living Gallery. When words just aren't enough to tap into deep-seated emotions, art allows people to express themselves in a nonverbal way and ultimately find healing and a sense of peace again. That's what happened after 9/11, when spontaneous displays of art cropped up all over New York City. Art proved to be an essential way for New Yorkers to reflect on their trauma and eulogize their loved ones. Photographer Loren Ellis was working in her art studio in Manhattan that fateful Tuesday. All morning, she stared up at the sky, at the smoke billowing across downtown, and felt horrified and powerless. The only thing she could do to make sense of the situation was to make art, using old photographs of the Twin Towers. Here's Loren on the power of art.
And why New York? Because it's the art capital of the world. I just love the cosmopolitanness of New York. I try to keep the childlike in my personality and the freshness. So when I do my art, it's important to be fresh. Look at something like you just saw it for the first time. When I do my visual symphonies, I call them, photographic paintings, I know generally what it's going to look like, but I don't totally know. There's a magic that happens in the darkroom, and there's an energy that I call my angels come down and they do something to the work, because unlike digital, it's not pre-planned. When you look at my work, there's really no bottom or top. It just evolves. I particularly don't do digital art because I like the darkroom. I'm working physically with the negatives and the paper, and I like the physical part, and also I like the drawing and painting. And I was a painter before I was a photographer, so I think that kind of comes out of my work. As we age, we look at things differently, and we see life differently, and we have different experiences in our life that change our life. And through art, it's an expression for me of my feelings at different times in my life, and I look at my work at different times in my life and when I do them, and it's different periods that you have emotional changes or physical changes in your own personal life or with friends and family. And it's always challenging, and life is challenging for all of us. I was here on 9/11. It was very traumatic to be here. I could see the burning of the building down Fifth Avenue. I walked to Fifth Avenue and I could see the smoke, and I felt so helpless. I wanted to volunteer. I went down there. They sent us away. I had a lot of mixed emotions. I was angry that it happened, that we let it happen. I was sad that so many people lost their lives. I was afraid of what was going to happen next. And then I started coming back and I just started pulling all my negatives I shot of the World Trade Center and started manipulating them in the darkroom and did a whole series on 9/11, not thinking I'm going to ever show it or do anything with it. I just did it because I had to. Now, as time does heal, I feel stronger, I feel better about everything in New York, I feel confident about everything in our country. So my series on 9/11 was very healing for me because I was able to let my emotions out into my work and create art that told a message about what happened here. Who knows? You have to go with the flow of life. And the more I go with what happens to me at the moment, the happier I am. Art is always healing. I mean, it's nothing new. We didn't make it up. It's always been around. If I'm not feeling well or I'm depressed, art is a level of therapy for me that takes me to another level of being in a healthy way. I tap into my emotional and psychological level because I believe when you're healed spiritually, which I am through art, I believe I'm healed physically and emotionally.
After September 11th, galleries and museums in New York reported record attendance, proof that lots of people find art to be therapeutic, just like Loren does. Since the attack, her nonprofit organization, Art for Healing NYC, has collected hundreds of stories, photos, poems, and drawings for a book about the power of art to heal a community. Our next artist has always found music to be effective in dealing with her personal trauma. One woman's private journey of songwriting when we come back.
Music on the level of songwriting is very much about becoming real with yourself. When I was 2 years old, my mother left my father and took me and my brother, my half-brother, to a foster home across state lines and never came back. I thought there was something wrong with me, I'd done something wrong, and I think that was the number one thing in my life that caused me so much pain and difficulty. Emotions that are locked inside cause problems, and there's a process to healing that grief, and music is a great aid for that.
Welcome back to the Art of Living Gallery. Songwriting has always been a healing force for musician Carrie Cole. You see, her parents abandoned her when she was just a little girl. She was too young to understand why, but certainly old enough to remember, and old enough to be forever affected. Now, making music is the best way for her to deal with the residual fear and anxiety.
Music on the level of songwriting is very much about becoming real with yourself, becoming true to yourself, or to put on music that is painful or sad and use that as a way to cry. emotions that are locked inside cause problems, and there's a process to healing that grief, and music is a great aid for that. When I was 2 years old, my mother left my father and took me and my brother, my half-brother, to a foster home across state lines and never came back. So from that point forward, I didn't see my mother for 25 years. I think I cried so hard that I couldn't breathe. I thought I was going to die. I mean, it's very, very painful. And I didn't see my father for quite some time. I thought there was something wrong with me. I'd done something wrong. And I think that was the number one thing in my life that caused me so much pain and difficulty. The emotion of the lyric and the way the melody moved would actually free up the expression that was wanting to be had in me, like a form of therapy. As I get a little bit older, one of the beautiful things I'm experiencing about writing songs is that I have more perspective. So the more perspective I get, the more I can actually really write about it, because I'm not in the heat of the pain. I was emotionally kind of a wreck as a kid, and music was a way for me to express things that I couldn't actually go and say, but I could lament about something in a song and feel something inside of me that needed expressing, that wasn't okay to express. Just one strum of the guitar and my body would actually relax. And it was like, oh, that's okay, now I'm a little better. Instead of say, that's bad, or, you know, there's something wrong with me, that this happened to me, or that I have pain. It's a scar. It's mine. It's personal to me. And in that way, I can sort of honor what happened to me as my path in life. And I can make something beautiful out of that. But it took a long time to get there.
When Carrie started writing song lyrics in order to deal with her anxiety, she used a stream of consciousness technique to let her feelings flow from her heart to her pen. And even though she didn't expect to share her songs, they've deeply resonated with people all over the US. So much so that she recently recorded another CD. In our next story, you'll see how drama therapy helps students in Harlem, and in the process, improves the health of the entire community. The stage of life when we continue.
East Harlem is tough. The kids have described it as difficult to survive.
There is a lot of despair going on. Teenage pregnancy is on the rise, drug use,